Hello all, my name is Dinesh Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology. I am at University Chennai, and today we are going to discuss on course name called Object Oriented Programming Language, and in which we are going to discuss many of the topics and topics to be covered. Introduction to constructor, characteristics of constructors, types of constructors, and finally we are going to see some destructors. Before we going into what is constructor, first we need to know about what is function, and function going to be one of the important concept of any programming language, and functions can be used very efficiently only in object oriented programming language. Why? In procedural oriented language we cannot have a 100% control of calling the function, when to be called and when should not call. When object oriented programming language functions, we have a 100% of control when a function to be called and when function need not to be called. So with this row what happens now, we have a constructor. It is one of the special function where it has many properties than a normal function. What are the properties of a normal constructors? So constructor, it should be a same name as a class name. So constructor, it is always have a high priority when compared with the normal function. If you say a normal function to be called, before that we have to create an object, we need to initialize the object, then we have to invoke the object, invoke the function using an object as a prefix. If it is a constructor alternating a function, a constructor function can be called in this time, that is when you have created an object, suddenly what happens now, constructor will be called. So we have some of the special characteristics. A function can be used for executing some task, whereas constructor is also can be used to execute some task. So it is a special always because it has a same name as a class name. So when we are creating a constructor, we should be little cautious. We should not create a constructor name of any name. The constructor name should be matched with the class name. Either we can say, I can say in this way, if you are creating a class name as XYZ and constructor name should be also XYZ. So when you say a constructor can be called automatically. People used to say it is automatically called a function. And whereas I said a traditional function need to be called by the developer using an object as a prefix, whereas constructor can be called without creating an object, and we should create an object without using a prefix. A constructor can be called in a easier manner. So it is also called as a special function because it constructs initial values of data members and build your programmatic objects. So suppose if you want to initialize data members like variables of n number of variables, and if you are using a traditional object oriented program without a constructor, all the data members to be initialized. If it is a number, you should initialize using a 0. If it is a character, a null space, a string should have a default variable. So if you are using a constructor, what happens now, if you want to declare or initialize any value, you declare all the data members inside a constructor function. So constructor function will be called at very first time, automatically constructor will initialize the values to all the data members. Suppose in real program or real object, and a developer may be working on a many number of variables. I can call those variables as data members, Say for example, if we have 100 data members, if it is a traditional OOPS programming language, even though if you use a class, we need to initialize the value for 100 data members. In this case, what happens, no, if you do declare those variables inside the constructor, when you execute the constructor, all the variable, what happens, no, it will be allocated with the default value automatically. So a developer, what happens, no, he can or she can saves time of initializing value with the zeros and ones. If it is an integer, if it is a null space, it could be a character and so on. So initializing all object manually will be very tedious actually. So this, if you do not use constructor in an ordinary program, we have a tedious job to initialize all the data members, all the member functions in our traditional functions. So instead, you can define a constructor function which initialize all the data members. As I said earlier, if it is a number, automatically a 0 will be allocated for all the data members. If it is some other data type, those default value will be allocated automatically. So constructor, as you know that we do not want to initialize the like declare a constructor directly. What happens, no, we can use a constructor. Constructor can be defined in two ways. You can define a constructor within the class one way, and you can also declare the constructor inside a class, and you can define the constructor outside the class, and based on that structure you can call that constructor using creation of object. You no need to use a object as a prefix to call the constructor. I can say either side I have a ordinary function and another side I have a constructor function. If I say which one has a high priority, constructor always has a high priority when compared with the function. So this constructor, it is one of the features of object oriented programming language. And in constructor usage in C++, it little vary with the constructor usage in the Java technology or Python or C# and so on. Let us see some of the implementation of a constructor and how it is defined, declared, and how it is executed in a sequential form, or how it is executed in which approach. Let us see this. So we have a constructor example over there, and I have a class name followed by a class, and my class name is a add, and followed by I have declared some instance variable that is outside the function and inside the class, that is int m comma n, and we have a public access specifier, and in which I have one member function that will be called as a add function. So what is special here is add is a function and add is a class, and as per the characteristics of a constructor, both the class name and the function name, it must be same. And the point to be noted here, and if you say add constructor, it is declared there, actually it is not defined inside a class. And see, noted one is I didn't use any private access specifier over there, I didn't use any protected access specifier over there, and I have used a public access specifier, meaning there is a rules and regulation to use the constructor. Always the constructor should be declared under the public access specifier. And in this case here we declared inside a class and we have defined outside the class. And once if you are defining outside the class, what happens, no, explicitly also we can define m equal to 0 and n equal to 0. Why? Because both m and n is a data members of type integer, so it takes a default value called 0. So here we have a meaning, when a class contains a constructor, it is guaranteed that an object created by class will be initiated automatically. That is why it is called constructor. And here I have used a constructor called add, and as I said, above declaration which creates the object, and also it initializes the data member either m equal to 0 and n to 0. If you don't initialize a value m equal to 0 and n equal to 0, no issues, your compiler will substitute the value of default value based on the data members. If I say a complex program, people will work on like 1000 lines, 2000 lines. They do create all the logics in the form of a function, and a single program may have like a 50-100 function, and a programmer may not know which function to be called first, which function to be called second, third. So out of which any one or two function will be very important function that could be called very first. Say for example, if you take like a banking project or a banking program, and think about an end user, what he will interact with the program or a project. The first thing he will be doing, he will be putting his credential like a PIN code or name or a password, whatever it is. So whatever the project, what happens, no, the first initial step is authentication. So when you write a program for this kind of a project, you do define all the initialized one inside in the form of a constructor. So that defining a pin, comparing a pin, and initializing value for the pin, even we can write the logic that is checking whether the pin is valid or invalid. All those declaration you can put inside the constructor, or because for any project relevant to banking, this is going to be a first step for authentication of the user. And here there is no need to write any statement to invoke a constructor function. That is, we can skip one line, object dot function name. It is not mandatory here. Why? Because when you create an object itself, it will call the constructor automatically, and if it is a normal member function is defined for initialization, we need to invoke that function for each and every object separately. Meaning we have to use object dot normal function name, object 2 dot normal function name. If it is third time, if you want to invoke, we have to invoke like object 3 dot that function name. So a constructor that accepts no parameter called default constructor. And all the program, if you take any program of C++ program, if it is class program, without class, I am not talking about those program. If any C++ program with the concept of a object oriented program, that is class, if you are not defining the constructor like explicitly, no issues. Your compiler, what happens, no, it will substitute the constructor in your program, may not be visible to the end user. Maybe after the execution we can able to see some difference on the output. So this kind of a constructor which is substituted by the constructor, by the compiler, not by the programmer, and this constructor may be called as a default constructor. Similarly, what happens, no, default constructor will not have any parameters, or it will not have any arguments, or argument should be a empty, and same time we should not use void also. So it should be empty, explicitly it should be empty one. And also a constructor should not have any kind of a return type. We should not use any return type like an integer, character, no. And always in default, constructor will not have any return type, meaning it is a void return type. Then also what happens, no, you should not put void over there. So the default constructor of our class, here I have declared A, assume class A, and we have a class and scope resolution operator, and followed by a constructor name. In this case, both the class name and the constructor name are same. That is why we have a scope resolution A with the followed by brackets. Let us discuss about some of the special characteristics of a constructor. And constructor, they must be declared in a public scope. Meaning we should not define that in a private or a protected scope. It should be default. The meaning a constructor should be accessible throughout your program, even though if it is outside the program. So if you put a private over there, it is not legal. Assume if you are allowed to put a private over there, sometimes what happens, no, the members which we define inside that constructor may not be accessible outside the class. So C++ developer or a OOPS a programmer rightly decided that always the constructor should be under the public access specifiers. So they are invoked automatically when the objects are created. That is why it is called automatic initialization of object. So it will calls object itself automatically, and they do not have any return type, and it cannot be inherited. And if you say a constructor inside a class and you can extend that class to some other derived class, but you cannot able to extend the functions towards the derived class, meaning it is not inherited, is restricted. And constructor cannot be a virtual one, meaning constructor you cannot use a virtual keyword in the constructor function. So that is a thing. So we have three types of constructor. Already we discussed about a default constructor, and followed by we have a parameterized constructor, and lastly we have a copy constructors. So default constructor, you know that two ways we can define explicitly, or else a compiler will define implicitly, and those constructor will be called as a default constructor, and parameterized constructor we are going to discuss right now, and followed by copy constructor. So as a name implies, a default constructor will not have any parameters and it will not have any arguments. So that the argument part should be empty, and here we have an example for a default constructor, and I can say a default constructor is a simple constructor. Why it is simple? If you do not explicitly implement that constructor, compiler will automatically define it, and if no constructor is defined in a class, then compiler implicitly provides an empty body constructor which is called default constructor. We have discussed already, and this is an example I try to illustrate before a compilation and after the compilation. And before the compilation, we have a C++ program incorporated with the class. We have a class sample which has two members. One data member is called some data member, and another data member is a member function actually, and the member function name is called sum function. So before a compilation, I do not see any constructor over there, and I do not see any function with the class name. So what you do is, after the compilation, what happens? No, compiler will gives a translation part. There, this side we have a class sample, and followed by we have in some data members. It is very unique, same as before the compilation. And suddenly what happens? No, we have a constructor called a sample, and it is empty actually. Argument is also empty and body is also empty. How it comes? The compiler, what happens? No, it defines this sample default constructor implicitly, and followed by the same thing, we have a member function called void sum function. It is not changed. So members before the compilation, we do not have constructor in this example. After the execution, and we can physically see a constructor after the execution. So totally what happens? No, we have two member function and one data member. Before the compilation, physically it is one data member and one member function, but logically there also what happens? No, we might have like a two member function and one data member. So parameterized constructor, it is also very similar to a function which takes a multiple argument, and normal function which takes any kind of any number of argument and any types of argument. Say for example, a normal function can take two integer, one character, and so on. With a different combination, we can able to pass the parameters inside the function. The very similar way, a parameterized constructor also, it takes any number of parameters of any type. Noted thing is, normal parameterized function, sometimes we may have a return type and sometimes it may not have a return type, whereas the only unique thing in the constructor, that is parameterized constructor, this parameterized constructor should not have any kind of a return type. It should be always a empty one. So here we have an example, and we have an argument, that is parameters, and we have started with class circle, public circles. Here circle is a constructor function, and it getting matched with the class name, and inside which we have a data member called radius of float type, and followed by I have another function of different type, that is also called as a circle. So in this example we have a two constructor function, one without a parameter and another one is a with the parameter. And without parameter, what happens? No, it is could be called as a default constructor, and with the parameter I can call this one as a parameterized constructor. So notable thing is, indirectly we are achieving some of the concept of object oriented program. There we have a concept called function overloading. If two function with the same name and with a different parameter or a different return type, if we try to execute both the function, then it is called a function overloading. Here also we have a two function name, that is circle without parameter and circle with parameter. Physically we have only one name, circle and circle with parameter and circle as a class. Three areas I have used a term or a name circle in this program. So whatever it is, we have two function. This two function can be executed in a serial manner one by one. So as I said, we have with and without parameters. Two ways of calling a constructor. One way is implicitly we can call a constructor, and the second way is explicitly we can call a constructor. So in this program we have two implementation as a example, and a similar way other side we have a definition or defining of a constructor, two constructor, default and parameterized constructor. How we can call this two constructor in two ways. And the first constructor, a default one, just you create a object of a circle, you create a object of type circle, automatically the default constructor will be called. So radius will be assigned with the value 0, so meaning it takes a default value as a 0, and followed by we have a circle function how to be called. So here what happens, no, they have declared a object and they have initialized the object circle OB, and they try to pass a value inside a OB object. So meaning it is also called as a parameter. So 7.16 will be put up, and a similar constructor function will be called. Constructor function which is looking for a float value will be called here. So if you pass 7.16, the second circle constructor will be called, and the new radius becomes a 7.16. Previously it is 0, and after calling the parameterized constructor it becomes a 7.0 to 7.6. it has been changed. And followed by explicitly also we can call a constructor, and both the constructor calling are very legal, and if you are convenient with any of one type we can use this. So we have circle OB in a separate line, purely it is called object declaration, and the second line what happens, no, OB equivalent to circle, we pass some value, float value over there, it is a initialization. So first one dedicatedly you can call declaration, and second line it is not a declaration, it is called a initialization. Here also we will be passing some parameter. Based on the parameter, if that parameter, if it is matches with any constructor in your program, that constructor will be executed, and we can see the result over there. So last type of a constructor is a copy constructor. I will tell you the purpose of using a copy constructor. If you want to copy the members of one object into another object, say for example, if you want to copy the data members and member function of one class and into another class, there what happens, no, we can use this copy constructor. As name defines, a copy constructor is used to declare and initialize an object from another object. So you can put up one object into another object, you can copy the value of one object into another object, completely we are duplicating another object of with a different name. So here is an example for a copy constructor, and this program, it has all the combination. In this program we have used a constructor function and normal function, and explicitly we call the constructor, implicitly we call the constructor. We have started with the class name called code, and it is mandatory that constructor name should be of name code. The first constructor is a default constructor, it is empty, and implicitly it is empty again. So when you want to call a compiler, and either if you don't define this code in your program, and automatically your compiler will define the code constructor, and after the execution you can able to see this code constructor, and followed by we have a parameterized constructor which takes one parameter, not many parameters of integer type, and I used a parameterized constructor for defining the value of id of type integer, and followed by I have another parameterized constructor. There I didn't pass a normal value as a parameter. Here I have passed the reference of some other object into a parameter. So we have some difference between the constructor with int a and constructor with the code ampersand x. The first one, it takes a parameter as a value, and second one, it takes a reference as a parameter. So this logic can copy one object into another object. Followed by I have used a ordinary function, so that is why intentionally I have used a return type as a void. We cannot use void return type for the constructor, and intentionally I have made argument is a null, meaning it is void. So we have some printing statement over there. So you might know that already when you execute any programming language, execution will start from the main function. So as concept says, we have started with the main function. The first one, what we have done is we have defined the object, and we also declared the object. So when you define and declare the object, automatically your constructor will be called, but we didn't call a default constructor over there. Why? Because we are not having any empty parameter to call the default constructor there. So your compiler, it defaultly it will call a default constructor very first. So it happens naturally, and there is no logic over there, it is empty. So it will be going for a code A, and here we are passing a value 100, not a reference. So once we pass a value 100, it is look for a constructor which has a parameter type of an integer. We have the first constructor int a, and here also we have a 100 as an integer. So that constructor will be called, and after the execution of that constructor, and id will become a 0. So again a control comes to the main function. Here what happens now, we have a code b of a. This can be rewritten as a b equivalent to a. So a object reference we are going to pass inside the constructor called b. So what happens now, here a represent a reference and b represent a constructor. So if you execute the second line, the first constructor will not get executed. Why? Because the first constructor is looking for integer value, and the second constructor it is looking for some object reference. So here also we are passing a, it could be a reference. So automatically this again constructor will be called, and the reference of a, that is a address of a, that address of a may have many data members. All those data members will be put as a parameter for the second constructor, and id equivalent to, it becomes a x dot id. So the value of id, that is a constructor value, it will be assigned to the x of again code b. So we have another third line, it is which is rewritten intentionally I have done. This can be write as c of a. This also can be written as a c equivalent to a. The similar way what happens now, c of a object reference will be passed inside the constructor c, and obviously there also we have a data member called x, it will be defined as a 0 1. And lastly d equivalent to a, it is also similar to code d equivalent to a. Whatever the value inside a object, we have already x equivalent to 100 in a, that will be copied inside the d. So all the objects data members as a x, a as a x, b as a x, c is also having x, and d is also having x. All the x value will be 100, and finally if you execute this code, all the members of a, b, c, d will try to print a 100 over there. So the idea, the complete copy of one object will be copied into another object. Say for example, if object A, if it has 100 data members, and if you perform a copy constructor, all 100 data members will be copied to another constructor. So duplicate copy will be happen, and you can reuse those copy whenever you require. So with that, we'll be moving to a contradiction concept of a constructor. And constructor, you might already know, will be coming to the conclusion, constructor, it will build the memory for the data members, and this constructor concept will be used for all the technologies which follows a object oriented programming language. Say for example, if you talk about a Java, constructor will allocate a memory for your data members automatically, and followed by, if you take advanced technologies like Java, Python, there we have a automatic garbage collection. Whereas C++ is the first generation of object oriented programming language, we do not have a automatic garbage collection. Programmer have to write a explicit code to delocate or distract the memory. That concept will be called as a distractor. As a name defines, a distractor is used to destroy the object that have been created by a constructor. So constructor, distractor, it comes with the synonyms of both each other, and like constructor, distractor is also a member of a class where the class name and the distractor name should be same. So if you talk about defining the constructor, little difference between a constructor and the distractor. Constructor may not have a return type, or you should not put any value prior to the constructor definition. Here we have to use a tilde symbol, and in default it is empty body. If developer want to write any kind of a code, when the distraction happens, he can write the code in the distractor body. So distractor, in a simple way, deallocate a memory. Always a developer has a responsible, whenever he creates a object, he himself want to deallocate a memory to improve the performance of your process. Thank you so much.